movies for black girl nerds.
Pleasure to meet you.
This movie is so nice to be talking to you, especially about this fantastic film. It's so cute. It's so just like refreshing and lovely and fun. Tell us about how you got involved with the film.
Well, honestly, this was my last audition before the pandemic. So this is my
Wow.
last in-person audition. And it was so much fun. I got to act. They wanted me to sing a song. So I came and I played my guitar and I sang.
Okay.
And some months went by and then they said, oh, we want you to come back in. And I got the job and I was just so stoked. Whoever dreams that they'll be able to play Cinderella, you know?
Right. Well, I love that they didn't kind of shy away, that it was like Sneakerella, not Sneakerello, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you did kind of have that gender swap in there. Tell us just kind of about embodying Elle and kind of what you put into his personality.
Well, I feel like the root of L is his mother,
Mm.
and that's something I really related to. I feel like throughout the film, especially like in the in my shoes montage, you see him always referring back to what his mother taught him and instilled in him. And for myself, like me and my mother have such a strong relationship, and so much of who I am and me living out my dreams because she supported me and believed in me. So I felt like I started there, and then it's just a journey of self-love and discovery. Whether loving yourself, loving your community, loving your friends, and also falling in love, which was such a sweet thing and amazing thing to do with Lexi, who plays Kira.
Mhm. Well, that was such a cute relationship, but it was very real and very authentic, in terms of the feelings he had towards her weren't so overwhelming, but you could tell that, they really liked each other and really had that magnetic kind of connection.
Yeah.
What was that like working with Lexi?
Man, she's a beast. Her future is so bright. She's a great actress, a great vocalist as well. And just being in these scenes with her, it was just fantastic. And I can't imagine another Kira. So it's a real treat.
Well, tell me about what recording was like. Is this your first time doing that?
Actually, no, I started my career off in music,
Ah.
singing opera and playing piano, and I'm also an artist myself. So that was something that felt very familiar for me, which really helped out a lot, being in the studio a lot. The new thing for me was the dancing aspect. I'd never danced before. I danced at a party or at church or at school, but never on this level. So we spent a lot of time just really trying to make an epic, large piece, something that's memorable. And I feel like we did a good job at that.
I think it was very memorable and it was so fun and there was such a joy in
Mm.
it and such a passion. So I thank you so much for taking this time to talk with us and I can't wait for more people to watch the movie. It's so much fun.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
You
Have a great
too.
day.
Thank you. And I've been a big fan of yours for a while. I love Little Fires Everywhere and just all those little things. I love kind of seeing you, kind of grow up in the industry and really be representative. This time we get to see you singing and dancing. Tell us about how you got involved with the project.
Yeah. The project came about, actually, I would say maybe a year before even filming. I vividly remember auditioning way before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic, happened and everything, it was one of those projects where I was like, have we heard back? Is this still happening? Like, what's going on? Because it was something that I was just so passionate about. I mean, I love the story. I love the themes of the story. I love the fact that, this project centers around the themes of fate and community and love and passion. And we also get to see just representation in every form when it comes to Elle, when it comes to young Black boys, or even Sammy. You get to see the LGBTQ representation, and then also, the Asian representation. And I think that's just really beautiful. And it was one of the main reasons why I attached myself to the story, because it was something that I hadn't really seen before. And it's also really cool to be a part of this new wave when we talk about like reimagining fairy tales and princes and princesses.
I really loved the differences between kind of you being the princess and, Elle being the Cinderella, I guess if you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I also love the diversity of class. And we talk about a lot about representation and seeing Black families that are affluent, but still have that connection kind of to their past and to their community. Tell me kind of what it was like to be in that space.
It was beautiful. It was really dope being able to, you know, put together, I would say, that complex relationship between, you know, the King family. You're so right when it comes to representation and also seeing Black families at that level. And I think that it's really important to see that not only, yes, they are in that space, but also there's a young girl in the family that's keeping them grounded and making them remember why they started. In the end, I feel like it really clicks where the entire family gets that it's bigger than them. And I think that that is something that is so interesting. And it's something that I feel like a lot of times, even as artists, we have to tap back into and remember that we're doing this for our community, who we're doing it for. It's bigger than us. It may seem like, you know, just for a moment, like we're just creating something in that moment and then we go on to the next thing, that sometimes we lose sight of why we got started in the first place. And being able to see Darius King think back on that and really tap back in with his family and his community and where he came from. And at the end, go back to remembering who he does it for and then doing it for them is really dope to see.
Well, I really loved in the beginning where, you know, the character was like, well, that's just my opinion, but shouldn't that matter? And shouldn't that count? And having that confidence to kind of not necessarily talk back, but to stand up for yourself. And I feel that that is something that confidence is something that is kind of a through line. Have you ever had a moment in your life where you're like, you know, normally I would be expected to kind of back down from this, but, you know, this time I was like, we're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, what I really love about all the characters that I've played is that I think that they're all young, strong girls with point of views. Whether it's Pearl, sometimes definitely she was out of pocket for the way that she talked to her mother, but also with Kira, and then even with Malia, like you don't get to see it yet, but later on you get to see just that same sense of having a voice and having your own point of view. And for me, it's something that I was always taught growing up in my house. Obviously, respect, you got to have that there, but also I was never made to feel like my voice didn't matter, like I couldn't have my own point of view in my family. And I think that oftentimes, specifically when we talk about just that those cultural differences, it's also something that is just so alive in the Black community. And definitely the amount of backlash that I received for Pearl, the way that Pearl talks, but I just think
that's fantastic.
I get it, but I also just think that it's important to also show that, hey, like if something's not right, if there's something that's rubbing you the wrong way in your household, in your family, in your friend group, it's okay to speak up about it. You have to do it in a certain way that respects everybody, you know, where like you show respect to everybody, but it's also okay to speak up and tell people how you're feeling. You don't always have to bite your tongue or be silent, because ultimately it can mess you up in the end. And if you have a certain vision that you want to create for your life, speak up about it and be proactive about creating that for yourself. Because if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. You can't always bank on your parents. You can't always bank on your friends to create the life that you want to have for yourself. So you have to do it. And I think by doing that, you got to use your voice. No, I was just going to say, you gotta speak up and able to do that.
Oh, I love that. And I love that that is such a through line and you displayed it beautifully. This is such a fun film and I recommend it to everyone. So congrats on that. And thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you. It was great talking to you.
Hello, John. How are you today?
Oh, Stacey, look at that background.
Yeah, you know, we had to represent a little bit for the film.
Love that. That's dope.
Well, my name is Stacey Vaughn. I'm with Black Girl Nerds, and this film is just so cute. And there were so many times where I was just watching, and then I was like, "Oh, hard eyes and sweet." So, tell me about how you found out about the film and about your involvement, how you got involved.
Yeah, well, my one of my boys, Black, called me and said, "Hey, they looking for you to do this movie."
Okay.
I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm gonna hand your number over to him. I said, "Well, tell me about the movie." He said, "Well, it's called Sneakerella." I said, "I'm in," because I love kicks. And
Yeah.
then the fact that, he called me, and then when we came in, the casting agent was like, hey, we're going to go over this and over this until I think you're great at this. And then we'll audition. So it was a whole lot of people, Black folks, helping me get to this point. We're making sure that we pick the right crew of people to represent us, because it's every shade of Black in this movie, from the darkest to the lightest.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody complains about anything, that's just them being unhappy. This is as Black as the Wiz was. Just yeah, and I say that to people. The music is unbelievable, the camera work, the connection. It's all wonderful.
Well, one thing that I really liked about it, and I was talking with Lexi about this, how we have our course, our Black family in Queens, and we also have our Black family in Manhattan, and being able to show rich Black people and people who are in this kind of area where people don't really think that we are all that much. And not only that, but also Darius still having that connection to his roots and kind of going on that journey from being like, well, the data is telling us this, to, well, my heart tells me this.
Yeah.
What was it like kind of embodying that character and making that journey, that transition?
One, I tell people this all the time: money doesn't change people. It doesn't. But what it does is it exposes who that person is. It amplifies who that person is. And the fact that I got my kids raised in Manhattan and right in the building that we do business in. And then it's a family business, and we focus on our family business because we know how important it is, not just to the people who like sneakers, but people who look at us for more than just what we make, money and material. So I think that was important. And the fact that, my daughter got on a train and she goes to Queens and she gets to see all the different things before there was big box, like literally the mom and pops that run the neighborhood and live in the neighborhood. That's important. I don't ever call where we live the hood. I always call it the neighborhood or community, very much like Nipsey. So I think the times now are changing from when we're amazing people, amazing. We're from nothing, and we're the most known and recognized in the world from nothing. So be at a point like this, to start from nothing and get to a position of success, meaning I wanted to finish here, is a great thing.
Well, you did such a fantastic job. I thought Darius was so real, and there wasn't anything inauthentic about the performance or about the way that he, dealt with his children, his family, and just everything. So I thought it was so refreshing and so wonderful. And I congratulate you on the movie. I can't wait for others to see it.
Oh, me either.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
This is such a cute show. And I know you kind of have experience with, directing teenagers and, kind of doing these things, but this is such a bigger scale, especially in terms of choreography and, singing and the kind of scope of it. Tell us what it was like getting this project and kind of executing it.
Well, I pursued the project pretty aggressively because as soon as I read it, like I knew I'd grown up on Cinderella and I adored it, but I felt like it was time to modernize it and sort of flip the script and like kind of turn those tropes on their head a little. So I loved the idea of like a gender swap, where the woman had the power and was the Princess Charming, and where the guy is in touch with his feelings and, has dreams. And so I really felt like it could be impactful and retell the traditional story in a more modern context. And then you asked also how I executed it.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
like what were some of the things you did to kind of bring the story to life or to kind of inform it for the screen?
Well, it was such a like deep collaboration with the choreography team and with the actors and the songwriters, because there were 8 original songs, all with different songwriters. So that whole team, like so many different voices, and we were all like had a common goal, but it took like a lot of working together and sharing, everything from like the color schemes of the costume designer to the lighting design that we were planning, and just trying to get everyone in like a cohesive pattern so that it felt like it was all one movie, because there were so many different interesting voices. Right. And so the key was communication. And, that all happened over Zoom. But it was a really great way to kind of do something together. And I learned so much, because normally it's a very solo job being a director, but because there were so many different cool people involved, we all were teaching each other and pushing each other. And it was a really interesting project in that sense. And it made us dream much bigger. So I think it looks bigger and it feels bigger because there were all of it. It was a bigger group.
Well, one thing that I really enjoy, I'm always on the lookout for effortless diversity, and not just diversity, but diversity and representation. And I love that this film had so many different ethnicities and races and, sexualities and all of that, but it wasn't like, oh, this is just a blank canvas. Everybody had their own point of view and their own voice. Was that something that was important to you in terms of the storytelling?
Well, when we cast it, the script didn't assign any particular race or ethnicity to the roles. And I cast a really wide net with Leah Daniels Butler, who is a casting director I'd worked with on Empire and All American, but she has her finger on the pulse of like people that are triple threats that can sing and dance, just powerhouse actors. So she left no rock unturned, but we wanted just to capture the spirit of each character, and that was our edict with each other and our promise. I hope that I hope it comes across that everyone's just really, we cast the people that embodied the role in the most true way that we'd hoped for. Like for me, watching Cinderella as a kid growing up, she was kind and like animals gravitated towards her, and she was. Right. Good things came to her because she was good, and that was ultimately the theme. And when Chosen walked in the door, I mean, he's just a good soul through and through. Like his mother raised him right, and he's just and he and his mother are just like the kindest, warmest people. Where you like honestly have hope for the future when you talk, and so he just felt like. It was preordained, like he was Cinderella. And it was sort of daunting to try to find someone like that. But as soon as he walked in the door, it was a no-brainer.
Well, that sounds like a director's dream. And this film in and of itself is such a dream. It's so fun, so light and bubbly. So congrats on it. And thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.